Why is it such a big story?
Well, she's been big news for about a decade now in Ghana. Very
big news for a decade.
Yes.
For those interested.
Not for those interested. I don't think for those interested. I think that.
Okay, listeners, when was the first time you heard of Bad Hajia4Reall? Let's be honest. When was the first time you heard of her? If it was it for 10 years?
You'll be surprised.
10 years?
Because of the people she's been linked with.
Okay.
Most of the people she's been with.
Okay.
And most of this is public knowledge. She used to be with Kempon.
Oh, so in the sports sphere,
he's a very big name, and it wasn't like they were hiding. You understand? So, so she's a very public-facing personality.
Okay.
Then she's built on that to, branch out into other endeavors.
All right.
And with the growth of social media came that immense growth in her personality as well. If you check her IG account, she has 4 million followers.
Was she made by social media?
No, she wasn't made by
she was already known.
She came in before the era of... She was IG. Popular. She was popular traditional media-wise, word of mouth-wise.
Before TikTok.
Unless you were not conscious of popular culture, you would know, everybody knew who Hajia4Reall was.
Okay.
You understand? So she's grown from there to being an independent player by herself.
How many followers on social media?
4 million. On her IG account, that's 4.3.
4.3 million.
Yes.
That is massive.
Yes.
How many people does Shatawale have?
I have not checked. We could.
But
she has 4.3 is a lot.
That's bigger than many countries in the world.
By any standard.
If they are real human beings.
But yeah.
So she's known.
She's known. Very well known. And that's also because of the lifestyle that she portrays. Very well-to-do person. You see her in the latest clothes. Attends the biggest parties. Attends the most high-profile events, organizes some of the most high-profile events where you see everybody who is anybody in Ghana attend.
Does she have a fashion brand? Is she into music?
Yes, she recently strayed into the music field. Did a song with Shatawale.
Yeah, has a song with Stoneboy.
Has a song with Stoneboy as well.
I like the word strayed.
Yes, she's recently
strayed into music.
Yes, she's strayed into music.
So what's her core business?
We don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You just told me that she's been known for the past 10 years.
Yes, but
you guys want to ask me? I don't know.
So how come she's getting all the coverage she gets?
Because she's been a very public-facing personality for a very long time.
So what does she do for a living?
She's an influencer. Let me put it that way. She's an influencer. For instance,
for the 10 years or more recently?
More recently, since the growth of social media and people finding ways to monetize social media, she's been at the forefront.
She's become an influencer.
Yes, of monetizing social media, particularly with her IG account.
So what is happening with her and the US authorities?
Well, Sky is the lawyer. He can read what is happening.
So what are they saying is happening there, Sky?
So basically, she's facing what simply is known as charges for romance scam.
Charges for romance scam?
Yeah. When we say romance scam...
Is that something in our laws? Or this is American law?
Yeah, this is, the UK, US jurisdiction. She was first arrested in the UK and then extradited to the US to face the charges that have been brought against her. So romance scam basically is a new form of scam that has become so popular. In the olden days, it was there, people using their relationship with other people to dupe them. But the rise of social media has ensured that it is now a big deal and people are using it massively. In fact, even the days when we're doing pen pals and pen pals, you remember in school those days, you discover some, white girl or some white man somewhere in the US and you start exchanging letters and then all kinds of claims are made. Oh, my mother is sick and all of that. So the man should support or the woman should support. So, but now because of social media, it's become a real big deal. So what is she accused of doing? We are told that she used allegedly herself and working with other people, basically within West Africa, to lure unsuspecting victims in the US, people well over 50 years, who are in search of love.
Single men.
Exactly, who are
and
in
women.
Allegedly, who are in search of love. She used herself to lure them to wire all kinds of money to her.
So she went to the UK and then she was extradited to the US.
So she was arrested on a plane, reportedly in the UK.
It means they had been looking for her.
Yes, they've been tracking her for a long time.
Probably didn't know.
That's what happens. And they have used also, Haspapi, the methods that they used to catch Haspapi. Yeah, a similar method was used. The Nigerian guy who was all over the world, particularly in Dubai and doing all kinds of things. They've been monitoring her social media handle, according to the information we picked up, for some time now, trying to match her income against
status.
That's right, the lifestyle, because we're told she has a fashion line or something like that, and then also she's a musician. Now, if you put the two together, the question is, how much is she a Ghanaian, fashion brand, or perhaps a music star? How much is she likely to make ordinarily in a year? And the investigators have been doing some work in the space, and it would seem that the facts don't support the kind of lifestyle that she's been living publicly. And when
was she arrested?
This was last year in the UK.
Yes, in December.
In December. So apparently she had gone to do some time in the UK, and then she was flying back when the report suggested that she was picked up on a plane, and she's been in detention.
So now she's been sent to the US.
Yes. Now, if you go to the 11-page indictment, that's the full details on point 3. For instance, it says Mona Faiz Montresh, the defendant, received fraud proceeds from victims of the enterprise in bank accounts she controlled in the Bronx, New York, and elsewhere, including business bank accounts opened in the name of 4Reall Designs, a purported clothing company. Once Montrage received fraud proceeds in bank accounts under her control, she withdrew, transported, and laundered those fraud proceeds to other members of the enterprise.
Oh, so the other members of the syndicate who are also into the court.
Yes. And then it goes on to talk about statutory allegations. And let me just read that. It says on point 4, for instance, it says from at least in or about 2013.
Hey, that's 10 years ago.
Up to and including at least in or about 2019.
My God.
This is legal language. In the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Mona Faiz Montresh, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly and willfully combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together with each other to commit wire fraud in violation of Title 18, United States Code
And
section.
this is New York law.
Yes.
1343.
Did I finish?
Yes. It says it was a part and an object of the conspiracy that Mona Faiz Montresh, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly having devised and intending to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud and for obtaining money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses.
Tracking her for 10 years.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's how serious it is.
10 years.
Yeah,
Of
they can
watching
even track
somebody
you for 20 years.
just looking at you. Maybe the person who started the investigation is even dead.
You know what?
But they will still continue.
You see, what people don't understand is, while you are taking the money small, you assume that you are outwitting the system. But normally they sit down and they are watching you, tracking you. They actually are looking for the big boy behind you, or build a solid case against you.
We'll come back to this, but it's 8:02. This is the Citi Breakfast Show. Colleagues are trying to unravel the Hajia4Reall arrest.
For me, there are bigger issues than just
we'll get there.
I want to get that one.
We'll get there. Don't worry. Just take your time.
Okay.
Take your time. Has been nabbed in the US on many counts of what's the term you use?
Romance scam.
A romance scam.
Yes.
A romance scam. We're told it's a big story. And this
It made almost all the major newspapers in the US yesterday.
as well. So not just the Ghana.
No.
The reason is that between 2017 and now, worldwide, several billions of US dollars lost.
In that
Exactly.
Yes.
I can give you the express numbers.
Wow.
Because of romance scam. And the point is that people are so shy, they don't want to speak about it.
As in victims.
Yeah, the victims. So, you are looking for love. You go online hoping to get love there. Someone finds you and says, look, Charlie, I like you like that. Let's do it. And then as a result of your search for love and falling in love online, you are manipulated into emptying your bank account and sending that money all the way to Africa or somewhere in the Gulf. And, because you have become penniless or because of your stature in society, you are unable to talk about it.
I see. We will come back to that.
All right, a few announcements. Pepsodent says every time we eat, food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. That's why you need Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, fortified with profluoride and microcalcium ingredients, sealing tiny and invisible holes in your teeth. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, maximum cavity protection, 10 times stronger teeth, 25 years of educating to brush day and night. Pepsodent, every smile matters. Your car needs Shell Helix and it will work well. Give it Shell Helix lubricants more in Koswo Hene. So whether you're on the open road or battling with traffic, Shell Helix engine oil will keep your engine running smoothly. Visit your local Shell station today and experience the difference for yourself. Now, NIPS is calling people to come and sign up for their doctorate program in business admin and leadership. NIPS is the Noble International Business School, and they will turn you into a practitioner scholar, and you can merge theory and practice for evidence-based decision-making and leadership. Get in touch with NIPS on 0266822310, and the person you speak to is Isaac, or you can visit nips.edu.gh. In life, you always have to insist on the best, and when you find it, stick to it. Bell Pack paper tissue is one of the best things in life. Bell Pack has materials that are soft but not weak, strong but not hard. They are just perfect. To be a distributor of Bell Pack, call 0551 144 400. Bell Pack is another quality product from Bell Aqua.
So Richard has put up a write-up. I'm not sure if maybe reading it will summarize for us what the situation is. Then we can get into the implications. So with your permission. Yeah. So this is more than ChatGPT. Hajia's arrest, unveiling the dark underbelly of deception in romance scams. It's quite long, but I'll try and run through it. So this will give you a complete understanding of what is going on. Then we can look at what the implications are, and then we can link it to other things. Because again, just in the Chronicle today, 3 stories on man 20 gets 300,000 for stealing bail. Called grand shop attendant 80,000 city bill. People are stealing construction material, they are stealing goods. Just a bazaar. But this is a deeper level, and it's not been proven yet, but it's a big case. So Ghanaian social media sensation Faiz Montrage, better known as Hajia4Reall on Instagram, now finds herself at the center of a transcontinental legal battle. Extradited from the United Kingdom to the United States, she stands accused of orchestrating a high-stakes romance scam that allegedly targeted vulnerable elderly Americans aged between Americans between 2013 and 2019. Allegedly collaborating with a network of West African fraudsters, Montrage is accused of expertly assuming false identities and weaving intricate tales of love to ensnare unsuspecting victims in her web of deceit. Utilizing a myriad of digital tools, including emails, text messages, and social media platforms, Montrage is alleged to have skillfully manipulated her victims, exploiting their emotions to coax them into transferring funds under false pretexts. Judicial records reveal that the staggering extent of her alleged illicit gains, amounting to a remarkable $2 million. It's been alleged that through intricate money laundering techniques, the funds were surreptitiously funneled into clandestine bank accounts, perpetuating the cycle of deception. The litany of charges leveled against Montrage encompass wire fraud, money laundering, receipt of stolen funds, and conspiracy, carrying the grave potential for a maximum prison sentence of 20 years if she's convicted. As she made a dramatic appearance in court on Monday, Montrage pleaded not guilty, with her legal counsel arguing that only a fraction of the alleged victims had reported interactions with a woman, and even fewer claimed direct contact with Montrage herself. Pending further proceedings, Montrage's release on stringent terms await final determination. Should she be granted provisional liberty, her movements will be confined to her aunt's residence in New Jersey, subject to strict home detention, a $500,000 bail bond coupled with GPS tracking through an ankle monitor will serve as additional safeguards. As the legal process unfolds, questions of the extent of Montrage's alleged involvement and the impact on her alleged victims continue to loom large. While her defense seeks to challenge the accusations and provide alternative perspectives, the case underscores the pervasive threat of romance scams and the dark consequences they inflict upon unsuspecting individuals. To be clear, Montrage has not, capital not, been found guilty by any court of committing romance scams. She's only been charged, which charges she has denied, pleading not guilty in court. It is for the prosecution to prove every element of its criminal case against her beyond reasonable doubt. As the law demands, an accused person is innocent until proven guilty. The question, however, is, what are romance scams? So then Guy then goes into a long Charlie Udeform. So romance scams, unmasking the web of deception, the intricacies of romance scams, and the pursuit of illusory love. Romance scams orchestrated by cunning individuals with malicious intent have swiftly risen to prominence as a prevalent and deceptive scheme, exploiting unsuspecting victims while amassing substantial wealth. Operating within the ethereal confines of online dating platforms, social media channels, and electronic correspondence, these insidious ploys ensnare the unwary in a labyrinthine web of deceit. Sky, why? Deceptive tactics and exploitation in romance scams. Within this realm of cunning deception, these scams entice victims with the tantalizing allure of love and affection, perpetrated by shrewd fraudsters who assume false digital identities. Their ostensible motivation appears to be ardent quest for genuine romantic connections. With calculated finesse, these swindlers manipulate the trust of their victims. Deftly manipulate the trust of their victims, skillfully preying upon vulnerabilities and capitalizing on innate susceptibility of to deceit. Charlie, why do you write big English like this? Impact and extent of romance scams. Once trust is established, the true intentions of these scammers come to light. An unrelenting pursuit of financial gain fixated upon the victim's precious resources, employing beguiling narratives of fabricated medical emergencies, impassioned pleas for financial assistance to facilitate in-person encounters, or elaborate tales of personal financial hardship. These schemers craft their stories with meticulous precision, tugging at the heartstrings of unsuspecting prey, coercing them into relinquishing their hard-earned fortunes. Were you a poet at some point? The scale of romance scams has reached staggering proportions during the turbulent COVID-19 pandemic, with a torrent of online daters losing substantial sums of money in their desperate quest for love. In the year 2021 alone, a jaw-dropping $546 million was reported lost to romance scams in the United States, an alarming 80% increase from the previous year. Yet these figures represent only a fraction of the true extent of the harm inflicted, as many victims remain silent from their losses, their suffering hidden from public view. Loneliness as a facilitator of romance scams. The impact of these scams extends far beyond financial devastation, piercing the very core of emotional well-being. The revelation of betrayal leaves victims grappling with profound despair, scarred by wounds that may prove arduous to heal. In the United Kingdom, where these frauds also flourish, the average age of romance fraud victims stands at 50, with women bearing the brunt of financial losses surpassing their male counterparts. Thriving in the shroud of anonymity, these deceptive masquerades are often orchestrated by these deceptive masquerades are often orchestrated by fraudsters operating from distant shores beyond the reach of legal ramifications. Their audacious schemes render the pursuit of justice a futile endeavor, leaving victims with their hopes of reclaiming losses dashed upon the jagged rocks of despair. Hey! Navigating the digital landscape with caution. The escalating complexity and widespread prevalence of romance scams demand heightened caution and unwavering vigilance when navigating the treacherous terrain of online relationships. Acquiring astute awareness of subtle signs indicative of such scams and diligently safeguarding personal and financial information act as vital bulwarks against the perilous snares. So let's come to an end. Safety tips and vigilance against romantic scams. To safeguard oneself, it's imperative to exercise prudence and refrain from sending money to individuals one has never met in person. Caution should also be exercised when sharing personal information, as unscrupulous scammers may exploit such details for manipulation or coercion. Maintaining a healthy dose of skepticism towards financial requests from online acquaintances is paramount. Collective efforts to combat romance scams. The battle against romance scams necessitates a united front, a harmonious blend of individual vigilance, public awareness, and robust support networks. By shining a resolute light upon the intricate webs of deception, we empower ourselves and others to navigate the digital landscape of love with caution, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to protecting our collective well-being. This guy is too much. Charlie, addressing the loneliness epidemic, recovery and support, conclusion. Okay, let me finish. Just 3 paragraphs. So there's apparently a loneliness epidemic.
Oh, yeah.
Loneliness, an enduring societal affliction, has further facilitated the success of these financial predators. Studies illuminate the prevalent correlation between loneliness and susceptibility to scams, as scammers astutely provide psychological validation and gratification that individuals crave. The COVID-19 pandemic has merely exacerbated the epidemic of loneliness, with reports of its effects skyrocketing among young adults. The dearth of genuine care and the pervasive virtual landscape of modern dating provide a fertile breeding ground for these unscrupulous opportunists. Recovery and support. In traversing the treacherous realm of digital relationships, caution must be our steadfast companion. Heightened awareness, support networks, and proactive efforts to combat loneliness are crucial components in our collective battle against romance scams. While law enforcement agencies can provide investigations and recovery, support, the recovery of lost funds often proves to be an arduous challenge. Conclusion: by adhering to these invaluable online safety tips, individuals can fortify their defenses against the cunning tactics employed by romance scammers. Together, we can wage war against these deceitful menace, empowering individuals to forge genuine connections while preserving both their hearts and their finances. As we unravel the layers of this deceptive web, Charlie, you like metaphor. Let us strive to create a safer and more trustworthy online environment where the pursuit of love is not tarnished by the illusions spun by those seeking to prey upon their vulnerability. Through collective efforts, awareness, and resilience, we can expose the true face of romance scams and protect ourselves and others from their web of deception. Richard, the last guy. Hey! When did you write this?
I wrote this last night.
So as you were thinking about the case, you
So it was one of the...
No, wait, but you there for more. No. Let's no. Hey! How you sort of explain the Hajia arrest and what it means. Caution us about not judging her before the case is finished.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing a general explanation of the romance scam with poetic flair.
Yeah, so yesterday... So here's how it started. Yesterday...
Did you read literature?
No.
Why did you learn to write?
But that's your news,
No, never. Before we come to for a language purist like you, I mean, it's a bit difficult to read. It's like it's a lot. But you have to appreciate the. I mean, you see, to be able to get the words to describe what you want to say, it's a gift. Because I'm tired reading it, but you still wrote it.
Yeah, you see, sometimes because of how I sometimes use language to exclude. For a good reason.
Yeah, but that's some way.
Sometimes you don't want to.
Look at this. Alleged that through intricate money laundering techniques, the funds were surreptitiously funneled into clandestine bank accounts, perpetuating the cycle of deception. Hey, Charlie, why?
Well, further, that's what they must be alleged.
No.
So
No. Hey. Charlie. Were you in the writers' club or something?
No, I wasn't. I just took to writing.
Let me read one last one. Romance scams orchestrated by cunning individuals with malicious intent have swiftly risen to prominence as a prevalent and deceptive scheme, exploiting unsuspecting victims while amassing substantial wealth, operating within the ethereal confines of online dating platforms, social media, social channels, and electronic correspondence. This insidious ploy.
Is it the reason? So yesterday, I hadn't seen the story until Samen sent me
the link,
the article from New York Times.
Charlie?
And he was making inquiries about how it was safe to publish it without invoking, Hajia's right to want to sue. So I looked at the article.
And then you produced this.
No, so I first looked at the article and I said that, okay, yes, there is a way we can report it without finding ourselves in trouble.
So this is how, was this AI assisted?
No.
This one is Richard Sky Adafian.
Yeah, that's right. Originated. And then proofread by Grammarly and all of that. So the point I'm making is that,
Charlie.
So I remember that in our course back in the UK, fraud and economic crime class, one of the biggest issues we're looking at was this whole issue of romance scam, Bernard.
So you already thought about it.
Yeah, because it's a huge economy out there, Bernard. You do not appreciate how big it is. It is in billions.
$576 million in US alone. All right. Now, since you've already explained the romance scam part in the article, I wanted to come to the other part with this guy in terms of the. So you feel like this is not okay. So a couple of things. It took the US and the UK authorities to unravel this.
Yes.
But this person has been living here for 10 years.
Her whole life.
And has been...
She was born here.
But we also have anti-fraud units.
Yes. We have YOCO, we have the Financial Intelligence Center, we have Cybercrime Unit of the Ghana Police Service.
So are you worried that it had to take the US, or is it because the people were victims from there?
Yes.
Should that not be? Shouldn't our police be asking how come this person has lived here comfortably for 10 years?
Yeah, for me,
And has allegedly received $2 million.
No, it's not, for me, it's not even just about her, you know, but difficulty as a society in asking people, where did you make your money? And how did you make your money? As a society, we seem to think that anybody who asks that question is envious of, you know, so why are you asking such a question? And it has deepened so much that even our police service and the other investigative units, I think, also operates with that mentality. You know, there was a day you and I were having this conversation, and I was telling you that if, like, street chat, this is not academic or anything. If I worked at the FIC, I would just sit on Ghana Instagram
and just be watching
and
the
just
people
watch
and
and
decide
ask
who
questions
to trace.
and decide who to watch. You understand? Because a lot of the names we mentioned, a lot of the people who come up with these things flaunt what they have on Instagram. They attend parties. So it will be a good place to start from. You see, because what we have done is we've created a society of high net worth individuals whose high net worth does not actually reflect in the economy. We have a lot of really rich people in this country whose net worth does not reflect the size of this economy, if you understand what I'm saying. So you have somebody who, if you put their collection of cars together, would own a $1.5 million car collection in Ghana. But that person's economic value in terms of the person's contribution to tax, to whatever, doesn't match up. And we have a lot of those in this country, but nobody is interested in asking. So because of, I don't want to call it colonial, but there's a very significant fear of the big man. And so everybody wants to be a big man. And also because of the significant periods of underdevelopment that we've undergone, it is about who makes it out. So far as the person has made it out of poverty, it is very difficult to ask the question, how did you live? You understand? So we've created all these persons around us that other countries watch.
So once the person becomes wealthy, it's fine.
It's fine.
So long as they have the money.
So far as they have the money and how they reinvest it or whatnot. And I'm just saying that we over the past 4 or 5 years or the past decade, we've seen Ghana become that place where a lot of rich people like to come to. They come to relax, they come to acquire property, they come to do all these things. So you ask yourself, for instance, why do we have a lot of these buildings that are coming up, a lot of these estates, but they're empty? Nobody can afford them.
They are moving at neck break.
They build them at speed.
Yeah.
I've always asked myself, and I know this, it is one of the significant difficulties they have with pushing the property tax bill.
Yeah.
Because in pushing that, you would then know who lives here, who owns this, who does that. That if there is an alignment of agencies, if GRA is chasing you for this, they are saying, okay, well, if an assembly is chasing you for their property tax, they come here, okay, this house is worth $750,000. You are paying X. They obviously talk to financial intelligence agency and say, oh, well, I was at this house.
There's this house is $750,000.
$750,000. Have you checked what the person does to be able to afford that house? That is how the cycle works. I recall an interesting story that I followed back in the day where a stockbroker posted a photo on Instagram. And the Financial Intelligence Center of the UK, the Financial Crimes Office, at the time, somebody spotted the photo.
Just on Instagram?
Yes, and took note of a portrait that was behind the person in the home. And did a random check, and did a photo match and realized that
this is like
a stockbroker who earns ABCD
cannot afford.
If this is an original, that person should not be able to afford it.
Wow.
So that is what started out an investigation that led to the discovery that this person was apparently the money launderer of half of London drugs.
Are you kidding me?
Yes. That's
a cursory look at
the person was just checking. Photo, Instagram. You understand? So there are other uses for this, and I'm just saying that we need to get to that point where our agencies, and I drag this all the way back to even my questions and queries about Galamsey and following the money. And then somehow...
It's a basic rule
Yes.
of not just journalism, but in many things.
In many things.
Follow the money, because that's where you see the source point.
If you read the 11-page indictment, it's an 11-page document that is follow the money. Even on the allegations, on the charge sheets.
Wow.
You understand? It's simply following money from A to B since the year 2013 to 2019.
They've been following the money for 10 years.
They've been trying to follow the money. So I always ask the question, why is there such a big difficulty in Ghana in following the money?
Maybe because they are afraid that when they follow the money, it will hit a big man who sorts them out.
Which is the
So
problem.
they are afraid to follow the money.
Which is the
because
problem that we
inevitably
have.
they'll be indicted in the following.
So inevitably we ask ourselves, who has genuine money? You understand? Because even here, Bernard, to a certain extent, there are days that you ask certain things unconsciously that you are not aware of. You see somebody coming in and you're like, hey, but how come you are doing this? Because you know how much you pay the person.
Yeah. So when you start doing
certain things, he starts checking.
It's a high side hustle.
Yes. So you realize that while we're there, you always end up trying to find out what people are doing.
It's very important.
You understand? What people are doing outside of this.
Yeah, it's important to know.
Yeah. If you can explain the side hustle, that's fine.
So are you saying that looking at the way social media, Instagram and things portray the lifestyles of these people, our FIC and the equivalent should be a lot more proactive and should be investigating a lot more people than they are doing?
Significantly, Bernard. You see, because what social media has done is it has allowed these high net worth individuals to mix with legitimate society.
Oh, so they're legitimizing.
It has been legitimized. That's what I'm saying. That so, for instance, the suspect in this matter has long been considered a legitimate part of popular culture in this country by virtue of her access to wealth. Okay, but the point I'm making is there should not be a reason why if tomorrow I go for the Kutubuafo, show up to work in a Ferrari, and I put it on Instagram, the Financial Intelligence Center should not be able to say, but you work at Citi FM. That is what you know you do.
How come
did you win the lottery?
Ferrari that
okay, you ask me, Godfred, did you win the lottery last week? You understand? But it is almost
But don't take a picture next to the lottery and say, Charlie, testimony. That the God of Godfred is my God. So now you are saying that what he can do in Godfred, he can do for me.
You understand? So we need to not make people who ask these questions feel like, hey, you are envious.
People.
No, it is the right thing to. That is what right-thinking societies do. We are not saying that is not, people will not get away with these things. But what you are trying to do is to make sure that money is responsible and money flows around. Because you see, we want rich people. Every country wants rich people. But the thing is this, if you have the right kind of rich people, that wealth, it multiplies in the country properly. But for us, like I'm saying, we have a lot of rich people whose money we don't actually see in the system.
Do our police have what it takes to trace these people from the social? So because some are on the dark web, they call it, and some are on regular social media, and then some translate into houses they buy and cars and things. Do they have the system?
Bernard, my name is Godfred Akutubuafo. I'm not the police service. I sit on Instagram every day. I see the people.
Instagram and Snapchat.
Ghana Police Service, Financial Intelligence Center, you could not have access to Instagram. You can pick up, the sophistication comes beyond that in tracking. I don't have the specialty
but
for
it's
that.
A great
but
place
I'm
to
saying
start.
picking up clues in understanding how Richard Sky, lawyer, then he's beside two houses at Trasaco. Praise be to the Lord. A. Praise be to the Lord. B. Me, I sit at Ioko, Financial Intelligence Center.
He will get some big pastor to come and he will get a big pastor friend to come and bless it.
Yes, but whilst it is being blessed,
he becomes that pastor's boy.
The authorities should show an interest. All I'm saying is there is no way Richard Sky in the UK acquires those two houses and nobody asks him a question.
What I'm driving at is the professionalism of the institutions and the ability to investigate things without fear or favor. Because you made a point about a society of big men. Where in Ghana, I mean, haven't you heard people say, I'm trying to do something, I get calls. So that seems to be it's almost like there's unsaid thing about Ghana where whether they are chiefs, whether they are pastors, whether they are politicians, somehow a lot of these people who have illegally acquired money legitimize it by either
going to church, making donations,
building church projects, going to secondary schools to do things, the hospital donations, or they are in some, I don't know, they join politics. Some even want to go to parliament.
Yes.
Okay, so there are many ways. So, and I think like even the political parties in the way they do their vetting, it's not every time that when people are choked, it is vindictiveness and it is like, it's like, and I tell people that sometimes people send me things as a journalist and I send it to the appropriate authority. So I'll give you an example. Some people send me some things about some aspirants. I said, look.
Yeah, last week we had this chat.
It's an election. So because I'm a journalist, I will send it to the general secretary or the chairman and say,
investigate it.
You people say you are vetting. Some people say this person has done this. It's not everything I can come and say on air because I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But since you guys are going to have a committee to vet the people, use the information to do what you have to do because you are sitting at the top of the party. And you see, it's in the party's own interest to also prevent fraudsters from entering parliament. Because if they enter parliament, eventually they'll be found out. You see, so I think it's a societal thing. It's not just a media thing where we have built a system where the seemingly powerful media, preachers, police, they rather protect or legitimize people who ought to be exposed. Do you get it? And it's now a certain method. So I am happy with what you're saying. But the issue about the economy was what I was thinking you should explain. You are saying that we have a lot of houses rising up, but we don't see it in the economy. Isn't construction one of the most multiplying? So, for example, you say, if you want to give people work, if you're building a high-rise building, you employ a lot of people and they'll get money.
Yeah, but if you are building a house, right, you want people to live in it. You make rent.
Yes.
How have you seen the number of empty high rises that are in this country? The
that?
number of empty estates that are in this country.
Where did I go yesterday?
People cannot afford them.
Sky, yesterday I was driving somewhere. Where was I yesterday? Every 2 houses they had put for sale or for rent.
Yeah.
Where did I go? Where did I go yesterday? I forget my. I think I was some. I don't know. I don't know if it's East Legon Joel or somewhere. But like every 2 houses, new house. Where was I? I forget.
Somewhere. But you could see
there was almost every 2 houses you have for rent, for sale,
something.
Meanwhile, there's an accommodation crisis. So I get you. So it seems as if number one, people use the internet to perpetrate crime, and then when they get the money, they legitimize the money. 2 levels. They legitimize the money socially because they flaunt it on social media and then they go to parties and then they start some businesses or stuff.
Knowing that this is a country that accepts that.
Yes.
If this were a country that...
Once you've made it, you've made it.
Because, for instance, if they lived in the UK or the US or any other country, they would watch these things because they know that in those places, once you start showing a certain kind of wealth, people will ask you questions. So they'll take a photo with a Lamborghini in France or a photo with a Lamborghini in the UK or the US, but you check its list. They don't own it. You understand? Because as soon as you say you post that photos, trust me, somebody is double checking whether you actually bought it from that dealership.
His Majesty's revenue.
They need their money.
I was just making a point for Sky to come in. So I'm saying that the ways of you've explained the way the money is illegally gotten, but you're also talking about
my issue has
2 ways in which it's legitimized.
Yes, and
the social and then the buildings.
Yes, and then my bigger problem is the lack of activity from officialdom on these things.
But if they are doing it, would they tell you? I'm sure that's what they'll be saying.
Bernard,
if we are doing it, will tell you?
Bernard, if they are doing it, the way we know and suspect things, they should also know and suspect things.
No, what if they are doing it by not announcing it?
No, Bernard, then they are Achepa.
So they should announce it. So if you are saying that if they are actively tracking these people,
yes,
any arrest or persecution should be publicized.
Bernard, let me tell you something. Factually, research proven, ill-gotten gains are heavily invested in 2 main things outside of real estate, right? Entertainment, sports. So either you are buying a sports team because it's capital intensive. It's an avenue where you can actually spend money because you have to buy jerseys every day. You are buying food. You are buying a bus.
It's a quick thing. You can
legitimize quickly. And so you always have to spend money.
So entertainment, so you can do a big concert.
If you go to Nigeria, it is an accepted fact that 80% of the biggest artists that have come out of Nigeria in the past 5 years were sponsored by Yahoo Money.
Oh, so they use that money to do a big concert with a celebrated star.
Not just
even that, they fund
find
people's
an act.
musical
So
careers.
You are a burgeoning artist, but
You've
you don't
got
have money.
the talent. You don't have the money.
I have the money.
I'll sponsor you.
I'll fund you to become a big star. That is
Wow.
yes, that is where the funding has always come from. Because which record label has $100,000 lying around in Nigeria or Ghana to spend on you?
Wow.
It is an individual who has that kind of money and will spend it on you. So that is where the money goes.
So you mentioned the sports, you mentioned entertainment. What about real estate?
Yes.
Real estate is the third
Oh,
one.
Bernard, we've seen it.
So they put up real estate which people cannot inhabit.
Cars.
They buy cars as well.
Yeah, I'm saying. So I love cars, Bernard.
So the people manage the
10
economy.
seconds.
I'm coming. The people who manage the economy. Do you think they are worried about this?
If they were, I think that we would see less of what we do on our social media pages on Instagram. Because obviously it's very carefree. In fact, it's so carefree that there is a very obvious mix of the upper echelons of our security agencies and these individuals. They are 10 parties together, they are 10 launches together, they sit on the same boards at churches, they are basically within the same social circles. They are friends. Who's always investigating who?
So this is serious.
The only claim you need to have is the fact that last week I was broke. You didn't investigate my poverty. So don't come and investigate my wealth.
Let's come into the studio.
Somebody
and
asked that question. Richard Delaska and Bernard Avle. I've been listening to your discussion thus far. Why are we not being investigated for being poor? Okay. No, now let that sink in. That why are we not investigating people's poverty? But Bernard, you see, I appreciate the points that Godfred has made, and these are the approaches being used elsewhere. But those approaches also have their own challenges. Look, the fact that you see someone post a photograph standing by a Lamborghini does not necessarily mean that the person owns it.
Oh, but I've already admitted to that.
No, I'm not criticizing you.
I'm just saying, on record.
Yeah,
I have
because
admitted to that.
I sometimes drive through neighborhoods that are posh, and you see young girls moving from various parts of the country. They come to those places just to take a photograph. There are guys who do that. There are people who go to Kempinski or whatever hotel that they go to.
They go and take pictures.
Order, what do you call it? Something small. And then they take photographs and all of that. And then they have websites or their Facebook pages or social media handles are beaming with all kinds of things. So there is that.
okay.
But there's also the position of the law as to at what point the authorities can properly intrude into that which you do and start raising questions.
I will let you discuss that. I wanted to do a quick